At the Winter Athletic Assembly, I commended you all for your resilience over the course of the winter. You fought through a lot, and I couldn't have been more proud of the way you all pushed through. Luckily, this spring saw a relative return to normal. It was also a season of firsts. The first time we fielded a girls lacrosse team, the first time boys lacrosse won a game against a U.S. opponent, the first time identical twins won in boys doubles tennis, and the first time Miss Hessian brought a team to her alma mater to compete in the sport she loves. For some of you, it was your first time making a tackle, your first time hitting a softball, your first time jumping over hurdles, or your first time keeping an actual golf score. The first of anything can be scary, but for the most part, firsts are exciting. I have to admit, this year has been scary and exciting for me. The fear of the unknown and what comes next creeps in often, just like it may have for some of you in your sports seasons. However, the truth is a lot of this year was filled with excitement and fun. That excitement and fun came from watching your teams play in the arena, in the gyms, and on the fields. It also came from watching the senior and junior girls soccer team cheering together after their double ETAC playoff wins. It came from seeing your faces when you were heading out on a road trip with your teammates. And most importantly, it came from watching you grow as people through sport. As the 2021 athletic chapter comes to a close this evening, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for making my first year in this role so fun and exciting. Congratulations to all of you for ensuring that the 2021-22 athletic season was a memorable one. Before we start with the speeches, I have some heartfelt thank yous to make, not just for this past term, but for the entire school year. To Ms. Sonia Perron, Mr. Maxime Boulet, and Mrs. Holly Moore in the Health Center. To your physiotherapists, Ms. Frédéric Labelle and Mr. Christophe Rob Lavoie. All the people in maintenance who keep our fields and facilities running well, Mr. Dozebois and his team in the kitchen, the laundry staff, and all of our drivers. Mr. Murray for his great work with team photos and catching action shots at sporting events, Ms. Kira Borsoy and Mrs. Shannon Garrett for their amazing photos and videos of our sports teams. Finally, Mrs. Wolfe for all her help with the RCQ and beyond. One final thank you to Mr. Faiz Akbar, who, like me, was learning on the fly and supported me every step of the way. He cares a lot about the students and the school, and that came across in everything he did for the athletics program this year. Finally, and certainly the most important, your coaches, who show up for you daily to ensure you have a meaningful and memorable experience. All these people have been there for you from September until now, and I'd ask that you show your appreciation to all of them with a round of applause. Now, before I introduce our first speaker of the evening, let's get to what you've all been really waiting for, the winner of the year-long All-Campus League. Now, going into Friday's competition, defending champs West held a narrow 4-point lead over East, South was right behind trailing West by 6 points, and North was in last trailing by only 10 points. But with 58 points earned on last Friday's All-Campus Day, North made a strong push for the title, but unfortunately, they came up short. So, finishing the year with a total of 115 points, once again defending their title, all-campus champions back-to-back, Team West! All right, that's very impressive, Team West, and I'd ask all of your captains to come up and receive the very, very prestigious Scowen Trophy. All right, now on to our first speaker of the night, the Commissioner of Softball, Ms. Kirby.
Softball has always been a sport that I enjoy playing, coaching, and watching others play. Intramural softball is an excellent opportunity for students to be active, have fun, and learn the game. Catching on to the intricate rules of the game can lead to frustration, but once you fully understand the game, it's astounding. Many of you had never picked up a softball bat before this spring. We, your coaches, although sometimes annoyed, enjoyed seeing your growth, frustrations, and triumphs. It's also a time to bond with your teammates, of which you did plenty. For me, this year was a unique season. Out of my 7 years of coaching softball, this year marks the first year we had 3 teams. We had 38 players over 3 teams, the Expos, Royals, and Cardinals. Having 3 teams meant that one team had to play a doubleheader each day. We played 40-minute games, most of the time only completing 3 innings. I'd like to thank Mr. Delorme for helping me out this season. I would also like to thank our captains, Anderson Trider, Jaliane Tremblay, Dominic Bacora, Kate Ems, Justin Bouchard, and Benjamin Smith for helping me with the equipment and trying to keep things running smoothly. I will always remember the little things, the exhilaration of someone scoring a home run, the frustration when someone struck out yet again, the arguing with calls, and the yelling of, "Go behind the fence." I will remember Ethan trying to get away with playing in slides, and I will always wish I had captured the look on everyone's faces when Yuhei showed everyone that he could actually hit the ball and catch a pop fly in the outfield. The playing on the swings with Riley, you know, is only a decoy. I will always remember the funny things, but most notably, Justin Bouchard asking if his team could potentially trade players, as he predicted that the Cardinals were stacked and would cream the other 2 teams. But this year, we really did have some very strong hitters. Throughout the season, we had 6 different players that scored home runs: Kieran Templeman, Presley Langevin, Augustin Palacios Rohi, Jacob Lynette, Dominic Bacora, and Benjamin Smith. But home runs help, but defense plays a huge role, which we learned this year. Now the standings and awards for the season, I'd like all of the award winners to come up together at the end, please. During the regular season, the teams played 12 games. In third place, we had the Cardinals with 5 wins and 7 losses. In second place, we had the Royals with 5 wins, 5 losses, and 2 ties. And in first place, we had the Expos with 6 wins, 4 losses, and 2 ties. So the standings were very much closer than what any of us had expected, especially Justin. The standings came down to the very last regular season game, of which the standings changed after the playoffs. The Cardinals won their game against the Royals to make it to the finals to play the Expos, and in the final, the Expos beat the Cardinals 6-4 to take first place. So congratulations go to captains Anderson Trider and Jaliane Tremblay and the rest of their team. We have 3 awards to give out. We're giving out 2 MVPs and a sportsmanship award. So the recipients of the MVP awards had both positive attitudes throughout the entire season. Even when their players were not grasping the rules and were struggling to improve, they kept their heads held high, and they both have an incredible softball IQ. Dominic Bacora was a machine at bat and was a threat to reckon with in the outfield, and Anderson was a level-headed threat to reckon with on the pitching mound. He really did work his magic. So congratulations to Dominic Bacora and Anderson Trider, both MVPs. The last award is for sportsmanship, and this year we're giving the sportsmanship award to 2 players on the same team. We could not only choose one. Benjamin Smith was always very helpful with equipment, loved to hit a few balls or play catch before practice, and he came to watch other games. Ava St. Pierre was not the strongest player, but she always tried her best and kept the team spirit high. So I would really like to thank Benjamin Smith and Ava St. Pierre for their positive attitude every single day. Please come up and get your awards.
Our next program to be recognized, Junior Boys Rugby, Dr. Standage.
You're going to have to forgive me. I think I've got a cough coming on. I sense I'm going to be sick around about Friday. First of all, I'd like to add my appreciation and thanks to all those behind the scenes who do their job so well. Every practice we had the equipment we needed. All our bumps, bruises, blisters and concussions were tended to. Games were organized at regular events and we always had the transport on time when we needed it. So I'd like to thank Mr. Faiz, Mr.Spirk, the Health Centre and all those others who contribute to this programme and make it work so well. I'd also like to thank my fellow coaches, especially Mr. G and Ms. LaRoche, for their advice and camaraderie as we wended our way up and down the 143 every week. So thank you for you guys. The main thing I'd like to talk about tonight is, and the thing about this season is just how great it was that we got to play rugby. Those of you who were here last year will remember that there were no games, no trips over to other schools, no tournaments, and we weren't even allowed to tackle or play any contact. All we had was the joy of doing drills, playing flag rugby, all while wearing a mask, often in the rain. And yet we were still grateful because the year before that we were all stuck online with no sport at all. So those of you who know things about rugby will know that basically it's a game of controlled violence. But without the tackling, hitting or rucking, it's basically just a game of tag with a ball. As we used to say back in England, and I don't know, Ms. Hessian might know where this came from, we regard rugby as the brutish game played by gentlemen. So this season began less than 2 months ago still, with snow on the ground and 14 fine rugby gentlemen with little to no rugby experience eager to learn how to play. After a couple of weeks of learning the rules and the phases of the game, we got to travel to Montreal to the GMAA Sevens, where we actually won our first game and almost got greedy and brutish enough to win the second one. We got to travel to BCS twice, then to Galt twice, where we played some big grade 10 brutes, definitely not gentlemen, and even though we were outsized and outmatched, we got better week by week until the final of the day of the season, when we came pretty close to stealing a semi-final. It would have been nice to play other teams of our own size and have some more competitive rugby right from the start, but that's what it was. And these gentlemen will play rugby better for it, having survived such a tough experience. To a man, this team can be proud of how courageously they played, how hard they battled for every yard, and the overall improvements they made. As I said, they all have the potential to be excellent rugby players in the coming years. Well done, gentlemen. Congratulations on your season. Well done. For awards, like before, please, if you're chosen, wait till the end and come up together. I'm going to start with the Sportsmanship Award, which I struggled over. This is a really tough one. I could have reasonably given the Sportsmanship Award to any one of 3 or 4 players. And in fact, without exception, every member of the team played with great determination, without fear, and against larger and more athletic foe, and never once complained about it. Every practice session, there was at least half the players were out there, 10 minutes early, passing and kicking a ball around, ready to play, and there was never a shortage of players willing to help clear up and return the equipment after each practice or when we got off the bus from a road trip. So if I could give the whole team a Sportsmanship Award, I would, but fortunately I have to pick one. With reflection, there was one man who seemed to care just a little bit more about how we were doing, was often encouraging his teammates, always wanted to be on the field, but was never complaining about coming off when he was subbed out for a rest. So I'm going to give the Sportsmanship Award to Gabriel Patras. For Junior S's, this was a lot easier. There were really 3 standouts who made the difference and kept us in games and actually won us games when we were away. The first is a no-brainer. Due to his size and athleticism, he was clearly our best player, our top try scorer, and always the most threatening to our opposition. He's not coming back next year, which is a shame, but I hope to see him in the senior team in a couple of years. The first junioress is going to Mason Bias. The second player made his mark on day one when we travelled up to BCS, when a large BCS easily crashed through our lines, breaking several tackles, but this guy came out of nowhere, made a try-saving tackle when most would have given up, and probably should have, and brought down a large BCS player just before the try line. Ever since then, he was full of confidence, another tough, fearless player with a strong future in the game. Always had a smile on his face, clearly enjoyed the challenge, whether it was feasible or not. So, a fellow Libran, I noticed, the next junioress will go to Josie Mazuka. The third one, somebody who's clearly got a strong future in the game. One of the smallest guys on the field, but has obviously strong genes and a family connection to the game, which is going to help him much in the future. Following in the footsteps, I could have almost taken this section from a couple of years ago when his brother got the same award. He has one of the biggest hearts and a superb rugby brain. He left his mark on the field in the last game when he did a very opportunistic, very intelligent run wide. Rather than punching through the middle, he went round around the outside and finished between the posts. So the last junioress will go to Noah Grenier. You can come up now. Where are you?
Next to speak from Junior Girls Rugby, Mr. Grenier.
Here's something you probably don't know. I've been coaching rugby for about 10 years. Standage, no, 20. Standage, 20. Spirk, about 20. Hesh, 20. Mr. Wells, 20. And Marino, I don't even think Marino knows how many years he's been coaching rugby. Do you? 30. 30? 30 years. Look at him, he's like the godfather of rugby sitting there, right? Ah, Grenier, tourist. So that's over 100 years of combined rugby coaching experience. Let that sink in for a second. It makes no sense. Think about it. Over 100 years, most schools have no rugby coaches. And they'd be lucky to have one or two with combined 20 years. We have 6 with an average of 20 years. The reason I'm saying this is because if you thought about playing rugby and you didn't, you should. You're in great hands at Stanstead College when it comes to rugby coaching. So, hey, congratulations, coaches. So I said to my team at the beginning of the year, after a couple of practices, that, hey, you're still here, you made it, that's 50% right there, that's half the battle. When you think about it, to choose to play a contact sport, a high-intensity sport like rugby, you got to find some inner strength. It's got to come from within. You got to overcome your fear, you got to find some courage, you got to find some guts, and you got to find some heart. That's 50% of the battle right there. The other 50% we got. We can teach you. So let me tell you what I think high school sports should be, based on the lessons I learned from my team this year. I'm going to tell you about heart, and I'm going to tell you about joy. This is what I think high school sports should be, heart and joy. We're in St. FX, about 14-hour bus ride down the road in Canada. In Europe, that would be like 6 countries across. It's a long way from home. And it's a long bus ride, and we're tired. And on day 1, we have 3 games. And on day 2, they leave it up to the coaches to choose whether you want to play 1 or 2 games. So I scheduled 2 games on day 2. So there's another team that only played 4 games, and they want to play us. It would be our 6th game. So I'm like, hang on, coach, let me talk to my team. I go back to my team, and I say, okay, look, girls, I know you're tired. I know you're beat up. You're exhausted. But the team across the way, I didn't even get to finish my sentence. They're like, yes, sir, we want to play. Unanimous, enthusiastic, yes, we just want to play rugby, sir. Except in like little girl voices, yay, yay, we want to play, sir, we want to play. Yeah, they're young. So I'm like, okay, awesome, this is great, let's go, right? That made me smile. That was one of those moments that I'm like, okay, this is awesome that they love the game that much. Then we come back home, and we're supposed to play in a Stanstead College Sevens tournament, and unfortunately, sadly, Mr.Spirk worked really hard to make this work, but it got canceled. The teams in Montreal canceled on us. And I had to break the news on Friday to my team. We had prepared all week. And the girls, I thought, they might be relieved to find out that, well, it's Saturday at Stanstead, springtime. You get to spend Saturday with your friends. You never get to do this much. You get to walk in town. It's great, right? So I figured maybe they'd like the day off. No. They were totally, genuinely disappointed. Like, actually disappointed. Like, almost tears in their eyes, disappointed. Like, oh, no, we really, really wanted to play, sir. Can we make this happen? I'm like, no, we can't. We just can't. But again, inside, I'm thinking, wow. They love the game that much? They're that disappointed? This is amazing. And then last week, we're playing BCS. We played them 8 times this year. We lost 7 out of 8 games. They have some grade 10s on the team. They're bigger, they're stronger, faster, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Like, we played them, we gave it our best shot. Like, they never quit. They kept playing hard. And after losing game 7 and 8 last Wednesday, I'm like walking to the team huddle, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to tell them what a great season it's been and that they've worked hard. Again, I don't get to say a word. They're like little minions jumping around me, saying, sir, can you schedule a game on Saturday, please? Please, we just want to play BCS again on Saturday, please. What can you do? Make it work. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. And then I see the BCS coaches. They're like 5 yards away from us on the sideline, and they're in the middle of like getting their stuff, and they're looking at us going like, what is happening right now? Like, they haven't seen that kind of enthusiasm from their team. From my team, we lost. It doesn't matter. Win, lose, doesn't matter with this team. They just want to play. I'm like, yeah, baby, that's my team. I love you. I love you for this, and you can all learn from this, and you can all learn from this because they love to play. And I think it might be because they're young that they love to play. As you get older, you might lose that. I see it. I see it all the time. I see kids walking around with a chip on their shoulder. Blame the ref, blame the other teammate, blame the coach, right? We get stuck in this. Stop it. It's garbage. Just stop it. This is what we need in sport. We need to love to play the sports. I want to thank you for that. Now, awards. I'm giving 3 Junior S's and a Sportsmanship Award. You can all come up at the same time, please, at the end. The first Junior S goes to a girl who's like a tank on our team. And this is the kind of plays that happen in rugby when you tap and dish it to a player who's going to carry the ball and crash through the defense. Essentially, her job is to collapse the defense, bring 3 or 4 bodies with her, and create space on the outside that we can run around and score. So it's not a glamorous job. You often end up with your face in the dirt on the bottom with 3 or 4 people piled on top of you. Mel, you were awesome. Thank you. The next Junior S goes to a girl who carried the team basically throughout the season, and certainly for the first half of the season. It was a little unfair to her, and I said that to the team. While I'm coaching them up to get them to learn how to play the game, this girl is basically carrying the team. And the girls are spinning the ball out to her, hoping she's just going to burn everybody, run around everyone and score, which she did. In fairness, she did a lot of. But I would have to sub her off after she'd done one of her entire field runs and touched the ball down in the end zone because she was so exhausted, and sometimes she had tears in her eyes. And it's not just from the run. It was also from knowing that she was carrying this pressure to score and this pressure, this stress from the team on her shoulders. She gave 100% in games and 100% in practice, and it just confirms the fact that I made the right decision making her captain. So congratulations, Ari. The third junior S goes to a girl you don't know, so let me introduce her. Val, can you stand up? Everybody, Val, everybody. So she looks sweet, she looks innocent, she looks nice, polite, right? Okay, let me tell you about Val. She's the toughest chick on our team. I'm not kidding. Like tougher than all the other ones put together. No one wants to line up against her in a tackle drill. They're afraid to get hit by Val. There are times during the season where I'd have my head turned, I'm talking to my assistant coach or talking to the bench, and I'd hear the smack. And I'm like, yep, that was a Valerie Lynn hit right there. I knew it. I just knew it. So Val, thanks for doing what you do best. Coach Hesh is going to love you next year. Last award, Sportsmanship Award, goes to a girl who started the season completely scared out of her mind. Throwing the ball over her head, scared, like there was no way I thought this girl was going to make it, and she did. And then after a couple of weeks, she starts shifting gears. And then she makes the starting 7. And then when she's on the starting 7, she starts getting it. And rugby players will know what I mean. When she makes the hit, and then she jumps right back up, and she's low and wide to the ground, and she's driving in that ruck, trying to get her hands on the ball to strip it away from the other team. She is one tough 13-year-old Mexican, Miranda. Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. G. All right, the next program up is our first program of the night that can award an MVP trophy and Major S awards. So, as has happened all year, if an athlete wins a Major S or a trophy, the athlete is honored with a standing ovation from everybody. Next up to speak from Girls Lacrosse, Mrs. Garrett.
Hi, friends. I'm so bad. I'm so sorry. To my lacrosse players, thank you so much for taking a chance on a new sport this year. And I'm sorry to tell you, but I'm playing rugby for Coach Grenier next year. Holy cow. If I was to stand here and tell you guys, this is who I am, by the way. Sorry. Bear with me. I wrote a short poem because all I do is cry. If I was to stand here and tell you what you guys meant to me, I would overflow the Tamaulipas River. So that's why we do poems, okay? I apologize to everybody in this building. This should be illegal. A Spartan lacrosse player is not made for individual glory. 2022 is just the beginning of our story. Practice started in early April with everyone all in. This team started getting ready to compete and win. An invested bunch of gals who play with passion and pride. Together they believe and have stood side by side. Sorry. You learn the game in just a few short months. I couldn't be happier or more proud of this bunch. I'm so sorry, guys. You will always be my sunshine, and I'll cheer for you wherever you go. Come back and visit often. I hope I'll still be coaching barefoot in the snow. Fame and victories don't last, but friendships and memories do. I love each and every one of you, and you've won my respect too. That's it. Okay. So, because this is the first year and we didn't have a lot of games, I chose not to do MVP and also not a major S, this was my decision. I'm also not a huge awards person, and like I think that's annoying for some people. That's just who I am. It's really hard for me to watch you guys. My whole team showed up and worked so hard, so it's hard to just say, oh, this one kid deserves it. So the sportsmanship award was easy for me, though, I gotta say. It goes to Maddie Lippman, and this is why. So we didn't have a goalie, and our first game was kind of a surprise. So I was like, hey, who wants to be goalie? And we were like using guys. It was not great. We drove down to Holderness, which is a couple hours of a drive. We didn't have equipment. Maddie had never even thrown a ball with a goalie stick because she has an amazing coach, so she was underprepared. We borrowed equipment from the other team, and I'm like, okay, well, at least she'll be able to warm up, you know? She'll have 30 minutes of like good warm up. I'll do my best. No warm up. Jumped right into a game, okay? We collectively as a team lost that game. Not a shocker. No fault of yours, Maddie. But I would like to tell you all that the next game we played, she had a shutout. So sportsmanship goes to Maddie because you put yourself above the team. Oh my God. And my senior S's are going to the grade 12s who are not coming back next year. So that's Riho, Sylvia, Sophia, Meg, Annika, and that's it. I love you guys. And I'm never taking my hat off, not even a shower. Wearing it for life. Yeah. Thank you. Come on up, get your awards, friends. Come on up.
Our next program to speak is golf. Mrs. Smith.
That's a tough act to follow, I think. Good job. So I bet a lot of you don't play golf, and those of you who have watched it on TV or whatever, you think, oh, easy game, right? So golf is deceptively simple and endlessly complicated. It satisfies the soul and frustrates the intellect. It's at the same time rewarding and maddening, and it is, without a doubt, the greatest game mankind has ever invented. That's a quote from the late Arnold Palmer, who's arguably one of the best golfers of all time. And it's so true. What's so hard about hitting this little ball and putting it in a hole? Absolutely everything. From the obstacles that Mother Nature throws at you, to the competition, to some nasty pin placements, to your own self-doubt. Golf is, as Mr. Palmer said, both rewarding and frustrating all at the same time. First, a huge thank you to Mr. Spirk for being such an avid supporter of the program. We now have tons of equipment for those indoor rainy days, and it's much appreciated. Also for allowing us to participate in 2 leagues this year. We played in RSEQ and our standard ETIAC, and that RSEQ edition was wonderful because it allowed all the golfers a chance to play at their own level. So Bantam girls played against Bantam girls, junior boys against junior boys. ETIAC has just senior league, so you may be a junior, you may be a bantam age playing against senior age players. So this was really nice. Also thank you to Mr. Dozois for accommodating our late travel schedule. And finally, a huge thank you to Mrs. Wolfe. I truly appreciated your endless support and willingness to step in when life happened, AKA COVID. And of course, your Friday goodies were always a huge hit with everyone. We had some great showings in both of our leagues, with multiple golfers receiving awards and recognition in both of the leagues. Overall, though, we're going to call it a growing season, as I think each and every golfer learned something about tenacity, grit, mental toughness, and determination. Each and every golfer also improved over the course of the season. I applaud your perseverance. Congratulations to all, and I hope that you've developed a love for a game that will stay with you for years to come. So prizes and awards in a sport like golf can be humble and very simple. But of course, something like winning the Masters or the British Open is an incredible achievement, but sometimes it's something really small, like the first time you make a par or a birdie, you make a chip in, or even an eagle. And speaking of eagles, congratulations to both Jules and Will Terrio, who each got an eagle yesterday. That means they shot 2 under par on a hole. So if it's a par 4, second shot went in. Par 5, third shot went in. That's quite an accomplishment. Tonight we're recognizing 6 athletes for some very simple yet obvious reasons, and I'd ask that you all come up together to receive your awards. First up is the Sportsmanship Trophy. This young man has been one of the mainstays of the team this season. He has the makings of an excellent golfer, and I hope he takes the time to perfect his game, especially his putting. One thing he doesn't need to work on, though, is sportsmanship. He's always supportive of his competitors and his teammates, and he has the perfect attitude for a sport like golf. He's extremely knowledgeable about the game, and he's passionate about it as well. I'm pleased to present the Sportsmanship Award to Will Theriault. Our next award winner has really improved and is really trying to learn the finer points of the game. She clearly wants to be a great golfer, and with her continued focus, I think she'll get there. She's pushed herself way out of her comfort zone this year by playing competitively, and she took every opportunity possible to play tournaments, even over the break. When the stressful part of the game doesn't get the best of her, she can shoot lights out. For her commitment and her hard work, I'd like to present Maddie Laber with a Bantam S. I have 2 junior S's. The first one has become a real role model for the younger golfers on the team. He's positive, encouraging, and at the same time is really pushing himself to be able to golf at the next level. Aside from a bad back not letting him finish yesterday, his scores have improved steadily through hard work and a lot of extra practice. I've seen him golf for many, many years, and he has a newfound interest in the game this year, and it's really nice to see. As well, he was a great help with a clinic that we did for a local elementary school. A well-deserved junior S to Will Towner. Our next golfer joined us a few days late because she tried a different sport first, but I'm really glad that she joined us. She's very talented. She played with borrowed equipment all year long, but she led the way in RSEQ competition and won the gold medal in junior girls. I believe by playing so regularly this season, she's actually discovered a real passion for the game, and I'm confident that when she goes back to Germany, she's going to continue to play, and I hope she takes it seriously. She's got a lot of potential. Congratulations, Alexandra Hock. I have 1 senior S. This golfer is going to be awarded for many reasons. He epitomizes hard work, focus, determination, participation, and enthusiasm. Aside from AP exams, he never missed a practice or a competition. He was always positive, welcoming, and helpful to his teammates and competitors alike. He always represented our school with typical Spartan spirit and pride. He also saved his best for last, with his best rounds at RCQ in the finals and at ETIAC in the finals yesterday. I've coached him for many, many years as well. He's truly a class act in competition. Congratulations on a solid season, Cedric Beauregard. Can you guys all please come up?
You guys need to come up.
Up now, please. Okay, sorry, almost done. We have 1 final award to give, the Alex Phillip Golf Shield. Mr. Phillip was a career teacher, athletic director, and coach at Stanstead College, always an avid supporter of youth golf and a positive role model. Mr. Phillip was a competitor and a true gentleman, still is. We have an internal competition amongst the team over the course of the season. They keep all the scores all season long, and the lowest cumulative average score is the recipient of the Alex Phillip Golf Shield. This year's winner is an excellent golfer. In fact, he's already been recognized as Athlete of the Week for his success on the course. Not once, but as an honorable mention as well. He demonstrates impeccable etiquette, is well-versed in the incredibly picky rules of golf, plays a beautiful game, and is always a polite and respectful competitor. It's truly a pleasure playing a round of golf with this young man. He's going to be here for 2 more years, so I'm really excited. Please join me in congratulating Matteo Parody for his Alex Phillips Shield and his Majoress.
Next program to speak, track, Monsieur Prevost.
Bonsoir. Dear members of track and field, first of all, I would like to thank all the people who were involved in making our season successful. Mr. Ross, Mr.Spirk, the health center team, and Mr. Faze who provided the equipment. This year, 10 boys and 10 girls were involved in our team. Half of them were hockey players on one of our teams, while the others were involved in a variety of sports. That said, we had a fantastic group of people who showed up every day with a great deal of motivation in order to give their best and grow as athletes. Stephanie, Maria, Mia, and Saskia, we will remember the smiles on your faces and your laughter while you were stretching in circle. Camille, Maddie, Ariane, Elodie, Delaney, and Liam D, I commend you for your skills and perseverance during the competitions. Luke, Johnny, Bo, Joe, Liam Summon, among the youngest on the team, we expect you to be back in the years to come. Rihito and Elmeri, who had a fantastic speed on the track, which we missed during the competition, unfortunately. Braden Chastanet, who has a great interest to shot put and javelin on the field, although running on the track was not his favorite activity. A special thought for Karel and her perseverance until she joined Team Canada training camp. And finally, last but not the least, Ferdy, who unfortunately Ferdy was too old to compete against our other schools, but he shined as a volunteer. Sincerely, I would very much like to thank and commend you all. We had a great season together. You all seemed to enjoy the time spent together, and each of you was competitive in his own way and respectful for others. During the spring, it's been a sincere pleasure to show up on the track, watch you give your best effort, and have fun together. It's now time to give the awards to the deserving athletes. We have one senior Hess for Liam D, and the Sportsmanship Award goes to Camille Richard. Thank you.
Our next program to be recognized, Badminton, Mr. Wolfe.
A couple of thank yous to start. First of all, to our heads for the day. Denzel, especially you. You did something no one else has ever done. You got me out on the dance floor at at prom on Saturday. Thanks, I think. Thank you to Mr. Spirk, who I think our former athletic directors, Mr. Simard and Mr. Van Dyke, would agree has done a fabulous job in his first year. I always like to fit this in somewhere in the air. Mr. Spirk was a two-time Athlete of the Year at Stanstead College. He has a Major S sweater. He can't wear it because he has so many pins that if he did, he'd probably hurt his back with the weight. But great job, Mr. Spirk. Thank you. Thanks to Mr. Fies as well, Mrs. Wolfe. Special thanks tonight to Stephanie May for her speech about lacrosse. Ms. Garrett. And Mateo, nice win. You can pair up that Major S sweater with your dad, who also won when he was here, probably in a number of sports. Mr. Van Dyke, we'd like to thank you, wherever you are, for pinch hitting and running our junior badminton tournament against Richmond. That's much appreciated. And special thanks to Miss Marquand, who is a great badminton coach. She's serious, she's well organized, she's positive, she's dedicated. You know, you can run a program without those qualities, but you can't build a program without those qualities. And it's like Mr. Van Dyke likes to say, you can't make it a thing. But with coaches like Miss Marquand, you can make it a thing. So thank you, Miss Marquand. So we had about 50 people who came out for badminton. We ended up with 32 players, mainly in the competitive bracket with some recreational players. We demanded that you stay 1 hour minimum. Why is that? Because in North America, only 20% of high school students do 1 hour of physical activity a day. However, 46% of high school students spend 3 hours a day on their phone. So you had to do 1 hour, and many of our players did more than that. They stayed after, and they also came for our Sunday afternoon badminton, and because of that, they got to get ice cream. We had a number of veteran players who got better, like Leo, like Howard, like Xiao Yi. We had new players who improved incredibly over the course of the season, like Kiera and Shan Mei. And we even had a couple of players who didn't really think that they liked badminton, and actually they became pretty good and liked it, like Olivia and Samantha. So thanks to everyone. I'm going to do some awards. We were very lucky this term to be able to return to competition. We got to play a number of tournaments against Richmond in junior badminton, or junior, bantam, and senior. And they had large teams, skilled teams, and they really provided us with a high level of competition. I'm going to read out the awards, and you can come up at the end. Our Bantam S this year goes to Melanie Lee. She took a huge leap forward this year. She was a medalist in the mixed doubles tournament and someone who improved really by the day, and I hope she continues this sport because she's very skilled. Jamie Arsenault is the winner of the Junior S. She came late to our program, but we were extremely glad to have her. She was not afraid of a challenge. She played in the junior tournament in 2 divisions. She won the gold medal in doubles. She won the silver in singles. And thank you, Ms. Marquand, for insisting that she join our team. Our Senior S winner is Ryan Young. Quiet, very fast on his feet, on the court, but also in the dining hall. I saw him on his phone tonight, and I stuck my hand out to take his phone, and he shook it and said, "How are you doing, sir?" So he got to keep his phone. But Ryan is a highly skilled player and can really smash the birdie, and a very deserving winner of our Senior S. And our Sportsmanship Award, there were many candidates for this, but this is someone who was always on time, who always played from start to finish, and often beyond 5 o'clock. She was a pleasure to play badminton with, but also to play against, and that is Julia Schunig. Could you please come up and get your awards, please? You can. Yeah.
And the reawards.
So there are two major S's to award, and I'm going to award the two major S's together to two of the very best athletes in our school. They played badminton last spring, they dominated, and I was extremely pleased to have them both back again this year, where they had the chance to play competitively against Richmond. They were the top in every single division, singles, doubles, and mixed doubles. And really, they love to play, and as Reverend Grenier pointed out earlier, that's really what it's all about. The best matches, really, though, the matches of the century when they played each other in singles. It was like two Roman gladiators out there. They are always on, always competing all the time. But they played anybody, and they played with anybody. And people love to partner with them, not just because they're great players, but because they are so supportive of the people they are playing with in doubles. They're the first people to step up and help out when we needed help at our home tourneys. They didn't play in the Bantam and Junior tournaments, but they ran the games. And it's just a pleasure to have them. You cannot build a program and make it into a thing without these type of people. The winners of the Major S Awards for badminton are captains Beatrice Perrin-Roy and Alice Soriot.
You're going to have to get the one down.
Our next program to speak, tennis, Mr. Belknap-Keet.
All right, this year's tennis team was made up of many talented players. In fact, I was lucky enough to have only talented players this year. I don't think there were any true rookies, and if there were, well, they picked the game up so fast that it made everything really challenging. It was really fun. However, before I go on talking about competitions or anything, I'd like to take just a moment for just a few thank yous. Firstly, of course, to Mr.Spirk and Mr. Fies for all their work this season, and most of all to Mr. Pajevic for helping me coach this year's team. It was really nice to have someone on the team that actually knew how to play tennis. Although the season was brief, we had the time to have a lot of fun. And when I say fun, what I actually mean is I had fun watching students, swearing at themselves and getting really frustrated. A wise man once said, "Tennis is a beautiful game until you play it." And if you want to know who said that, you can Google that later. It's Mr. Sean Belknap-Keet. Of course, players didn't always get mad at themselves. After all, to err is human. To blame someone else is doubles. We really did have a lot of fun, though. And all players improved throughout the season. Jackie even eventually learned how to play without having one of his hands in his pockets. And I even saw him run a couple of times. Well, okay, not run, but he jogged like briskly, I was very pleased with the level of talent on the team this year, like I mentioned. Our top players were very skilled, and we have very good prospects for next year. At competition, we compete only at the senior level. So in general, the team should consist of 16 players. That's 8 boys and 8 girls. However, we had a few extras. And when the finals came up, we were short 3 girls. We were lucky enough to have Elodie, Joliane, and Beatrice join us on the road, so thank you, girls, for that. I really appreciate you coming along to help out. Antoine and Caleb returned with gold and silver medals for boys singles. Leo and Kevin took silver in boys doubles, and Jan and Vivian came home with gold medals for their performance in mixed doubles. So as you can tell, it was a brilliant ending to a great season. Lastly, before I move on to the awards, I would just like to say thank you to my team. I had a lot of fun watching you all chase a fuzzy ball around a box with a small snowshoe. Well, that's what it looks like, right? Yeah, it was a bad joke. You didn't actually have to clap for that. All right, on to awards. Now, as I mentioned, the competition was at the senior level, and I will therefore be handing out senior S's tonight, a sportsmanship award, as well as awarding the tennis shield. Please wait, and all winners can come up together. The team was loaded with pleasant and hardworking students this year, but among them, one athlete stood out as particularly good-natured. She always showed up for practice with a smile on her face and worked hard to improve her game. The Sportsmanship Award goes to Erica Roy. The Senior S is an award given to individuals who have demonstrated great skill throughout the season. They're not only players that have done well in competition, but also embody what it means to be a student athlete here at Stanstead College. For all the effort they put into learning to play as a team, and for their excellent performance at tournament, Senior S's go to Vivian Doms and Jan Hars. The next two award winners played as though they've known each other their entire lives. Their individual games are excellent, but together they play as if they were one person. In fact, I sometimes get them confused. Senior S's go to Leo and Kevin Shee. And for his excellent performance, not only at the final tournament, but throughout the whole season, I am pleased to award a Senior S to Caleb McDonald. The last Senior S, and yes, I know that's quite a few of them, I will award tonight goes to a player who has demonstrated excellent skill and knowledge of the game. Her performance in tournaments, as well as when competing for the Shield, was some of the best tennis I have seen this year. A Senior S goes to Sienna Webster. The Tennis Shield is one of the oldest awards given out by the college. In fact, if you take a look sometime, it dates back to 1927, so 95 years old. It is the only award given out in a competitive sport for in-house competitions and is being awarded to the top boy and girl players after a double elimination tournament. This year, I am pleased to award the Shield to Antoine Rémillard and Sienna Webster. Please come up and get your awards. Yep. The final award I'll be giving out tonight is a Major S. It goes to a student who has demonstrated outstanding skill. This year, he won both a gold medal boys singles and the Tennis Shield. Please stand and help me congratulate him. A Major S goes to Antoine Rémillard.
Our next program to speak Boys Lacrosse, Mr. Winquist.
Hello. A couple of thank yous to start off. Thank you to Mr. Spirk for the awesome amount of games. Fies for the equipment. Coach Ryu and Coach Thompson for recruiting quality athletes. Miss Shannon Garrett for growing the sport with the first ever women's team. Finally, a thank you to Mr. Rui. My assistant coach this season helped the team a lot, especially on defense. I could not have done it myself with 26 or so boys, so thank you. All right, so our goal this year was to grow the game of lacrosse and really get the program running again. So looking back, what a great year. To put it in perspective, the most recent game for Stanstead Lacrosse had been on June 2nd, 2019, 3 years ago. So it had been a long time since Stanstead had played or that I had coached. Our first games this season would be in Ontario, in an area known for its strong lacrosse, and boy, was I worried. I guess I didn't have to be. We finished third in an 8-team tournament. We lost one game, then never lost again all year, from the end of April all the way to June. No, that's not it. All right, so, sorry, I'm almost done. Our next trip was in Montreal a few days later. Most of our players were away with prep hockey or at hockey camps. So players like Jack, Raphael, Jackson stepped up big time. Even Caleb McDonald, a member of the tennis team, stepped up. He even scored a goal for us. We ended up winning the Montreal tournament with barely enough players. Our next big task was going over to play lacrosse in the States for the first time in program history. It was a back and forth game that we ended up winning 10-8 against Holderness in New Hampshire with the girls watching. Then our last big game was against Prevost, the game we called the Battle of Quebec, because we saw it as the team who would win could crown themselves to be the best lacrosse team in the whole province. We won that game 10-6 in another tight game that we came out on top. Finally, our battles with BCS. Although they weren't close, we both respected each other and improved. But mostly it gave us a chance to play everyone, so everyone got in this year and played. Overall, we finished the year with 10 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie, with 100 goals for and only 39 goals against. More importantly, though, we grew the game, and we got the program running again. More players who had never played this sport played their first ever lacrosse game this year. That was my goal, and it succeeded. To all 26 of you who decided to play lacrosse, thank you for growing the game. One more thing. There are some key and great players returning next year who will not win awards tonight. I'm confident they will take the next step as leaders and return even stronger to lead this team next year. Now to the awards. Choosing our awards was difficult this year. To be a successful team such as we were, you need a goalie, you need 4 D-man, you need a fogo, you need middies, and attack. So they all deserve some recognition, but you can only award a couple. So I have two senior S's, 1 sportsmanship, and 2 major S at the end. Sorry about that. So our first senior S, one of our few vets from last year, he picked up the game very quickly and had quick feet to match any opponent. He helped our transition game and had an important and specific role that matched his skill set perfectly at long stick midfield. So our first senior S is Lorenzo Bono. Our second senior S is a returning player with the most field lacrosse experience on our team. He led the defense, and nobody can get by him. He's aggressive and a pain to play against. He's the guy who carries his lacrosse stick the most, and he's always trying to get better, so Ian Nicholson. For sportsmanship, another vet from last year who's in grade 12. He was first off a big piece of our team. He helped our attack. He was tough. He's respectful. He's a classy player who helped us fetch balls. He gets to practice first, and he's a stand-up and honest guy. So Benoit Forget, sportsmanship. Come get your awards. Come get your awards, please. You three. All right, for our first Major S, he can't be here tonight, but he was an anchor along with Ian and Wills on defense this year. At 6'6", he was imposing, but precise with his stick checks, and he could run fast for a big man. He also played clean and got maybe 2 penalties all year, so congrats to Axel. So our last Major S and MVP. I thought it was unthinkable to give an award to a player this young, but this player really gave me no choice. If you arrived too late to a game, you might have already missed him because I pulled him out because he scored so many goals already. But in the big games, he scored the big goals. He was also humble and respectful. Our MVP and second Major S award goes to a kid named Ian Olsen.
Our next program to be recognized, Senior Girls Rugby, Miss Hessian.
This is going to work. Now it's super close to my face. Good evening, everybody. I would like to start by saying a few thank yous to Mr. Spirk and Mrs. Wolfe for arranging our games, Mr. Fies, the health center, the laundry, the kitchen staff, Jean Pelletier and our bus drivers for getting us there safe. Everything that you do for us, you do with love and care, and for that, we are all grateful. I would also like to make a note of thanks to the Junior Girls Rugby team and the Dandelion King for embracing everything I love the most about this game. And to Kayla, an exceptional athlete, a friend, and now a coach, I am grateful. And then I would like to take a moment to pause and speak a little about this moment of time that we are in. We had not played rugby since May 29th, 2019. And on my first day at the field, 2 players who I respect and admire said to me the same thing: "What a time to be alive." And at the time, it didn't catch on, but the other day it did. In the last 3 days, I, as a coach, have had the opportunity to watch 3 players that I have coached play a sport that they love on national and international television. This was not possible for me when I was an athlete, and it was not possible for Olivia DeMerchant, a Stanstead athlete who graduated here in 2009, to imagine. For all of you female athletes, for the lacrosse players who made history in this season, what a time to be alive. Okay, 32 players, on to now. We had not played rugby since May 29th, 2019. It seems like so long ago. 32 players show up at the beginning of the season for practice. 8 weeks ago, we were staring down 8 weeks. For you, that was 1 million trips around the barn ago and 2 million trips around the hedges. But 8 weeks went a lot faster than we thought. And 32 players, I thought, was a lot. And I thought, if only maybe there was one less. If there was even one of you less, there would have been less questions. There would have been less counting, less recounting, less accounting for. There would have been less sore throats from all my screaming. There certainly would have been less knock-ons. There would have been less worry, less cones and pennies. There would have been less taken seats on that bus ride. And there probably would have been less Kavanaughs. You guys worked out okay on that. There would have been less, though. There would have been less highlight reels. I would have had to have been a little bit less on my toes. There would have been less laughs and jokes. There would have been less new friendships seated there beside you. There would have been less kick and catches. There would have been less connections. Quite simply, the whole experience for me would have been less. So tonight's speech is entitled A Pep Talk for Rugby as a Metaphor for Life. I've been collecting these. Some of them I've been passing on to you, as I have much of this advice. Well, it's a lot smaller when you're on the stage, will tell you what they say. Pep talk in every drop. Don't try harder, do harder. Boom, boom, boom. You've always got 3 steps. You need to compete, and you need to be fierce. Get back in there, champ. This is your drain the tank, give all that you can give moment. Keep your chin up. Lead with kindness and care. Pick your teammates up and bring them along with you. Show your humility and resilience. And C number 3, get back in there, champ. Impress yourself today. Be generous with your energy. With every step, every side step, every catch, every tackle, every line out, every scrum, every breakdown, we watched you stand taller. Impress yourself. You can do it, and you know it. Every one of you. You can do hard things. And when I doubted that you could, and we stood in that circle with our arms around each other and took 3 deep breaths, I knew it too. Okay, sorry, I'm not actually reading them, I'm faking. Let's hear your battle cry. You were the unknown factor until you let it be known. And after all, today's a Tuesday. And you know what I like about Tuesday? Thank you. 32 incredible young women, students, athletes, rugby players. Thank you for everything that you have given to us for these last 8 weeks. Thank you. For the awards, I want you to know that you received your award. Kayla gave it to you before. There are 32 of them. Hang on to them. Look for that. Mr. Spirk told me one time, who does the other team wish had missed the bus? Quite frankly, I thought, I bet the other teams wish we all missed the bus. But I have a Good Sport Award and some Senior S Awards to give. The Good Sport Award goes to an athlete who is reliable, always brings positive energy, always puts in her best, and became a very dependable ball winner in set piece and in the breakdown, and that is Katarina Berger. Senior S Awards go to a group of players who became a reliable force in holding our defensive line, bringing up our defense, and breaking the gain line for the other team. They were dependable, flexible, could win a ball in a ruck, could make a tackle, could make a break, and turned many heads. Those players are Cameron Moore, Lydia Walsh, Maya LaRue, Gloria Riddle, and Julia Rutenberg. Please come up and get your award.
Just before we get started with the major awards, he actually is the godfather of rugby, along with Mr. Simard. When I played here, they were integral in everything that started at the school, and the trophy is actually named the Roger Marino Cup, so Mr. Marino will award the MVP trophy when it is announced.
There are two major S awards. As many of you know, rugby is a game that has forwards and backs. Maybe you don't know, but if you don't know, there has to be something to link those forwards and backs together. The first major S goes to a player who earned her way into a leadership role in this team. She became a good teammate who always is willing to lend a hand. She had her hands and sometimes her feet in almost every single play that happened. She built a strong connection with the back line and learned to make decisions based on what was best for the team really quick and sometimes turning down her instincts. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and join me in honoring Maria Teresa Calva Scholalpa with a major S. This player was our most experienced, which dates back to a 9th grade experience given the hiatus that we had from rugby. She became an instant leader, what I would like to think of as a duck on water. Seemed smooth to the rest of us, but was freaking out underwater. She took control quickly and loudly, allowing her teammates and everyone else to focus on one thing at a time. She's tiny but mighty, strong and confident. She's moving on, and we hope that she will continue to play the game. And if you watch us play, I'm sure you know. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and join me in honoring not only the winner of the Roger Marino Trophy for Excellence in Sportsmanship in Girls Rugby and a Major S sweater, Laura Bellini.
Good evening, everybody. Our final program to speak is Senior Boys Rugby. All right, good evening. I want to start off by thanking Ms. Hessian, Kayla, and the Senior Girls Rugby team for being so accommodating to us this year. We didn't have a home, and you shared yours with us, no questions asked. Really, that's the beauty of this sport we all play and coach and love. It's a sport of inclusion. When I look at our roster, we have players in grade 9 through grade 12, small players, big players, old players, young players. In school, they have very different lives, but on the pitch, they battle together and they work in sync. It really is a beautiful thing. My next thank you is to someone that has been in my life since I was 17. He is the reason why I love rugby. It's my wife's fault. And the reason I coach today. I was lucky enough to have him as one of my mentors, and now he's joining me on the sidelines this year. I know the boys learned a lot from having him there. More than anything, he ensured that coming to practice every day was fun and that you mattered. I'm glad you're all able to make the same connections with Mr. Marino that I did 24 years ago. Mr. Marino, thank you. This season was one I will always remember, and it has nothing to do with how we played. Although we were very lucky to finally get back to the pitch and play, many of our important trips with the potential to create memories were canceled. That made me sad. We had plans to host a tournament, and until the last minute, we had high hopes it would happen, and then in the final minutes, that was canceled. That made me sad. The reason I was so sad is this is quite possibly the nicest, most talented group of players I've ever had the pleasure of coaching. I would have loved nothing more than to watch them all showcase their talents in New Brunswick, Ontario, and the United States. Not only was this group talented, they were humble and really nice to each other. There was no breaking any egos, no major discipline, no questioning the coach's decisions either. The highlight of the season was the first practice and the excitement in everyone's eyes when we got to play. Another highlight, the first victory against Selwyn House and that great trip to Montreal against St. Thomas. Can't forget the epic tournament win at the GMA Sevens and then following that day up by going undefeated at our first RSEQ League play. But honestly, the biggest highlight was just coming to practice and having fun with all of you. Although this wasn't the perfect season in terms of competition, it'll be tough to beat how perfect it was to be with all of you every day. Thank you to all of you for making this such a fun and memorable season, and thanking you for giving your heart and soul to the program. For those of you moving on, know you always have a home with our rugby family. Once a Spartan, always a Spartan. Thank you. We have 3 Senior S Awards and a Sportsmanship Award. The first 2 Senior S Awards go to 2 players who have been in the program the longest. They were last to represent this school before COVID, and they continue to be integral parts of our success this year. Senior S Awards go to Logan Bayas and George Correa. The final Senior S goes to a player who we had the opportunity to work with him another year, would most likely be leaving here with a college recruitment. He's good hands, sees the field well, and is fearless in contact. The last Senior S goes to Max Petticelli. And before you come up, the Sportsmanship Award goes to a player who literally does whatever it takes to get things done on and off the field. He's thoughtful, fully engaged, and has turned himself into a very competent rugby player. The Sportsmanship Award goes to Jack Littman. Come up and get your awards. Before I start the major awards, I will also ask Mr. Ross to come up because this trophy is named after his father, Donald A. Ross, to go to the MVP for Senior Boys Rugby. All right. The first major S goes to a young man who I've watched run around campus since he was a young boy. As he entered the college and started playing, he's always been the little guy. He may be smaller than some, but the truth is he has a heart of a lion. He's wise beyond his years on the field, and he manages to play like a true veteran. With tutors left to grow, the future is bright for this young cat. Major S to Chaz Grenier. And the final athlete to be recognized should come as no surprise. He's the most experienced player, and anyone we played had to ensure they had eyes on him at all times. He has the best hands and the best pass of any player I've ever coached. He's shifty, quick, and again, extremely coachable. We're very lucky he'll be back managing the field 2 more years. Major S and the recipient of the Donald A. Ross Trophy for Team MVP, Shun Hatano. Well, this concludes the assembly and officially marks the end to the 21-22 athletic season. A final thank you to you, the student athletes, my Spartans. You've made us all proud on the playing fields. You continue to make us look good on the road and at home, and for that, I thank you. Thank you as well for your wonderful behavior this evening. I'm very proud to work at a school like ours. Congratulations to all the award winners, and a reminder to all of you winners to please stay behind after the assembly for a few photos. Now, we gotta rush back so we can all start second half of study. Please stand and wait as your coaches leave the church. Have a great end of the year.